mitakiapi, toka le ampetuki, le chante hetaha, yushka nape uchius papelo, le miecha ake ikanchola tipi ke el wahi, na mazashkanshkan wapre wanji lechia, lakotia woglakapina, lakowichoch ki he u iwagla kinkta, yellow. Dweki hechi tukte anagapta nakaha piki hana wopila tranka iprelo. Hello, my relatives. First of all, on this day, from my heart, I extend my handshake in a happy way. This is me. I have come to the radio station, and for 1 hour, the Lakota language and culture I will speak on. Those that are sitting and listening, wherever, I give you my words of thanks. This is the 23rd edition episode, I believe, of my program, our program. And today is a real good day, even though I have to wear my sweater. You don't know from day to day if it's going to be cold or hot. But last week, just to review last week, we had a story about Wakia Tranka, and that's about the Thunderbird. And then we talked about lesson 6 from the Hechetu Yellow Student Manual. It's an exercise. And then we had the story, The Siege of the Courthouse Rock. Then we talked about, or I talked about, the happenings up at Little Bighorn Monument. Used to be Custer's Battlefield. Now it's Little Bighorn Battlefield. Probably has another title. And then just a little comments about high school graduation. I think there's still more graduates or graduations, maybe 1 or 2 more. College graduates, and I believe promotions, or I think it's called moving up or something, for the 8th grades, and they'll be doing those. And as usual, we'd like to start again with the prayer, and this is what you call the Serenity Prayer, and I just want to do that before we get too far. Trankashila wakwala mak'u yo. Daku aglutroksha oaki hishni hana omakya yo. Daku waglutroksha oaki hana washaake mak'u yo. Na omakyaki lena u woksape hechel waglu hakta yellow. God grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Hektakea kupo, keep coming back. And this is a prayer that's often rendered in self-help programs. If you're working on a program, you probably know this prayer. And it's a good prayer, powerful prayer. And it asks for help. Okay, we're going to do some updates on different topic areas. And then we're going to do a lesson from Hechetu Yellow, maybe a couple. And then we have a story, a couple stories. And then we should be pretty much covered the whole hour. We just recently had a meeting, and it was a Pejish Shla commemorative activities planning, and that was held just recently, and I believe have some notes from it. And next week I'm gonna have a guest, and he's gonna be the real deal. He's gonna tell you what it's all about. But the goals for the planning, I believe it's the 7th session for the Pejishla event that's happening on June 25th. So there's a lot of discussion, a lot of activities that is being planned, not only here in Eagle Butte, but also at the Little Bighorn battlefield and in the area. So we're going to have two events that are being planned for. I believe they're going to have a local planning session to finalize the agenda here, a one-day event on June 25th here in Wamblipaha in Eagle Butte. And then at the battlefield site, there's other things that are being planned. By next week, I believe they'll have a pretty good idea of what's going to transpire. We'll get that to you. I know they said youth basketball tournament here at the local area. I believe I have a flyer. Maybe I'll just kind of read that off. It doesn't have the specific details. It's just a generalized flyer. Really beautiful graphics. And it says June 25th, 2026, Wamblipaha, Eagle Butte, South Dakota, Pejishla Wokiksuye, Greasy Grass Remembrance. And there's bullets. There's 6 bullets. One says cultural. Second one, educational. Third is games. Fourth is memories. Fifth is feed. And the 6th one says, and more. The narrative reads, in honor of the 150th anniversary of the Pejishla Greasy Grass Battle, there will be activities of celebration scheduled for June 25th, 2026. The events will range from a parade, traditional wachipi, a walk/run, horseback riding, games, cultural education, and meals throughout the day. This is to celebrate the compassion, sacrifice, and contribution our relatives have done for us in the present. More flyers and information will be sent out for everyone to plan accordingly as well as participate on June 25th, 2026. So this is the 150th anniversary of the battle at the Little Bighorn. And that is the information I have, and they're going to continue on planning more and more, so until it's finalized. But next week I'll have a guest on the show, and that individual will fill in all the blank details. So we'll know everything. We're going to know everything. Then from there we'll know what to do. But that's in a future time. Next time we get together here. As mentioned, we'll jump into some exercises. This is again a reference. We used up our other one, the Everyday Lakota and English and Sioux Dictionary for Beginners. We use up pretty much all the phrases, and we can create some. Somebody could. I don't know if I want to. But so we're going to go to lesson 7 in your purple book. I don't think that anybody has the book, but we'll make it sound like it's in a classroom setting. This is a publication of January 1989, and it's a student manual, Hechitu Yellow, the way it is. It's Oglala Lakota College publisher, and it has accompanying cassette tapes, but I don't have the cassette tape. But anyway, we're going to go over Lesson 7. And lesson 7, take about 15 minutes at the most, hopefully, if I don't stumble over the words. So we're going to go with facial expressions, gestures, body movements played and still play an important role in Lakota communication. Because we're on radio, you can't see my facial expressions or my body movements. So you're going to have to imagine body movements and facial expression. So it's going to have the Lakota word and then the English translation. And hopefully you'll pick up some words. Thanks again for those of you that are faithfully listening. I think I have 2 followers, but that's pretty good. It'll help with my ratings. Igluzicha means to stretch. Batita means to push. Mani means to walk. Apsicha to jump over. Utita means to pull. Sloha means to crawl. Ianka means to run. Psicha means to jump. Wankaiichia means to jump up. And that's a cowboy rodeo kind of a word. Wankaiichia. When a horse jumps way up there and kicks his feet up in the air. Epazo, to point. Wistecha, to be bashful or shy. Chanzeka, to be mad or angry. Iokshicha, to be sad, lonely, or lonesome. Ichata, to laugh. Yushiya, to scare or surprise. Cheya, to cry. Icha, to smile. Asnikia, to rest. Shkata, to play. And those are body movements and facial expressions. And then we have action verbs. Hokshila wa igluziche. A boy is stretching. Hokshila wa patita. A boy is pushing. Hokshila wa mani. A boy is walking. Hokshila wa apsiche. A boy jumped over. Hokshila wa utita. A boy is pulling. Hokshila wa slohe. A boy is crawling. Hokshila wa ianke. A boy is running. Hokshila wa psiche. A boy is jumping. So there was one that said apsiche and psiche. So one is jumped over, one is jumping. Hokshila wa wakaichia. A boy jumped up. Hokshila wa asnikia. A boy is resting. Hokshila wa shkate. A boy is playing. So we turn to the other page and we continue on. Hokshila wa patita na epazo ye. Or hoksilawa patita ki epazo yo. I misread that first one, so I apologize. Point to the boy that is pushing. So it says hoksilawa patita ki epazo ye. Or epazo yo. Hoksilawa kaitia ki epazo ye. Point to the boy that is jumping up. Hoksilawa kaitia ki epazo ye. Yo. Hoksila wa igluzicha ki epazo ye. Hoksila wa igluzicha ki epazo yo. Point to the boy that is stretching. Hoksila wa psicha ki epazo ye. Ipazo ye. Hoksila wa psicha ki epazo yo. Point to the boy that is jumping. Hoksila wa mani ki epazo ye. Hoksila wa mani ki epazo yo. Point to the boy that is walking. Hoksila wa ianka ki epazo ye. Hoksila wa ianke ki epazo yo. Point to the boy that is running. Hoksila wa apsicha ki epazo ye. Hoksila wa apsicha ki epazo yo. Point to the boy that is jumped over. Hoksila wa yutita ki epazo ye. Hoksila wa yutita ki epazo yo. Hoksila wa slohe ki epazo ye. Hoksila wa slohe ki epazo yo. Point to the boy that is crawling. Hoksila wa asnikia ki asniki yanke epazo ye. Hoksila wa asnikia yanke epazo ye. Point to the boy that is resting. Hoksila wa shkate ki epazo ye. Hoksila wa shkate ki epazo yo. Point to the boy that is playing. This is a question answer. Part of us is Dwe igluzi cha ho. Dwe igluzi cha he. Who is stretching? And they use fictitious names. Betty igluzi cha ye. Betty igluzi cha yo. Betty is stretching. Dwe ianka he. Dwe ianka ho. Who is running? Tim ianka ye. Tim ianka yellow. Tim is running. Dwe yutita he. Dwe yutita ho. Who is pulling? Tim yutita ye. Tim yutita yellow. Tim is pulling. Tom psicha ye. Tom psicha yo. Jump, Tom. Betty money ye. Betty money yo. Walk, Betty. And then we go into the facial expression exercises. And there's several that we'll go over. Wichinchalaki wisteche. Wichinchalaki wisteche. The girl is shy or bashful. Wichinchalaki chanzeke. Wichinchalaki chanzeke. The girl is angry. Wichinchalaki iokshiche. Wichinchalaki iokshiche. The girl is sad. Wichinchalaki ichate. Ichate. Wichinchalaki ichate. The girl is laughing. Wichinchalaki iusie. Wichinchalaki iusie. The girl is scared or surprised. Wichinchalaki chea. Wichinchalaki chea. The girl is crying. Wichinchalaki icha. Wichinchalaki icha. The girl is smiling. Then we get to the second portion of this. Icha ki epazo ye. Icha ki epazo yo. Point to the one who is smiling. So that's where you can do some visuals. Wiste chaki epazoye. Wiste chaki epazoyo. Point to the one who is bashful. Cheaki epazoye. Cheaki epazoye. Yo. Point to the one who's crying. Chanzeka ki epazoya. Chanzeka ki epazoyo. Point to the one who is mad. Yushia ki epazoye. Yushia ki epazoyo. Point to the one who is scared. Yokshicha ki epazoya. Yokshicha ki epazoyo. Point to the one who is sad. Ichat ki epazoya. Ichat ki epazoyo. Point to the one who is laughing. Due icha he. Due icha ho. Who is smiling. Gina ichaya. Gina ichaya lo. Gina is smiling. And then it says, complete the following sentences. And it says, blank, blank. Due blank he. And it kind of has a fill in the blanks. But I don't know. There's too many blanks, and I'm blank enough. So we're going to stop right there with that lesson 7, and that will help us to get to another portion of the program. And I think I will go into a story. And this is a story. These stories I borrowed from another culture. And I think before I tell the story, I just want to do a little explanation. We have our own stories, Lakota stories, but I reference back to a time when I was going to summer school at Black Hills State College in early 1980s, and we worked, or 1984, I guess, so almost mid-80s, and I worked in the school system, and during the summer, we were part of a teacher training project, and so that required us to go take summer classes to get close to graduating as and becoming a teacher of some sort. So when I went to summer school, I met Dr. Ronnie Tice. He's a native from New York City, but he's also a professor was a professor at the Black Hills State University, or college at that time. And one of the classes, a very interesting class, and one of the comments that I used or took away from it is what I always make reference to, is that you learn more about your own culture by studying another culture. So you learn more about another culture by studying, you learn more about your culture by studying another culture. Okay. I was kind of got mixed up because I was looking at a visual on the whiteboard over there, and it was a ghost, a friendly ghost looking at me, and it kind of shocked me. But then I realized it's just a color sheet with I think it's a Halloween ghost with a pumpkin going tricks or treating. So believe it or not, I seen a ghost today. But anyway, so I really enjoyed that class. Dr. Tice taught us a lot. And there's other classes that we had forced ourselves to take to try to get a teaching degree. And unfortunately, I think I was 6 credit hours short of graduating and going through that teacher training program. I think individual and dual activities, I had to do some like golf or individual activities, and then like swimming. That fall, I was going to take, when I was going to continue on, they had, the local college was going to have a swimming class as an individual activity, and I was going to take a swimming class at the local swimming pool. So I was going to get that much closer. And I think another class was methods of teaching reading that I wasn't able to. I think I had to go on campus to get there, get that fulfilled. But I was all getting ready. I had my swimming trunks on, my goggles and my fins and those things you put on your arms so you don't go under. And I went to class, and guess what happened? They said that the swimming pool had a leak, and they had to drain the pool, and the class was canceled. So that was the end of that deal. So I could have been an Olympic swimmer. I could have went to the Olympics in swimming. But anyway, so this is a story from the Northern Cheyenne. And again, I have some kolas that I met through meetings and my travels. And some of our people intermarried with the Cheyenne, the Northern Cheyenne. So we do have some connection there. So I just want to utilize this story as a way of appreciating what they have. We thank them for sharing this story or allowing us to learn about their culture through this story. And again, it's from American Indian Myths and Legends, and it's the Ordeals of the Hero, Part 4. So it's a Part 4. They divided into areas. So this is the life and death of Sweet Medicine, Northern Cheyenne. A long time ago, the people had no laws, but no rules of behavior. They hardly knew enough to survive. They did shameful things out of ignorance because they did not understand how to live. There was one man among them who had a natural sense of what was right. He and his wife were good, hardworking people, a family to be proud of. They knew how to feel ashamed, and this feeling kept them from doing wrong. Their only child was a daughter, beautiful and modest, who had reached the age when girls began to think about husbands and making a family. One night, a man's voice spoke to her in a dream. "You are handsome and strong, modest and young. Therefore, Sweet Root will visit you." Dismissing it as just a dream, the girl went cheerfully about her chores the next day. On the following night, however, she heard the voice again. "Sweet Root is coming, woman's medicine which makes a mother's milk flow. Sweet Root is coming as a man comes courting." The girl puzzled over the words when she awoke, but in the end shrugged her shoulders. People couldn't control their dreams, she thought, and the idea of a visit from a medicine root didn't make sense. On the third night, the dream reoccurred, and this time it was so real that a figure seemed to be standing beside the buffalo robe she slept on. He was talking to her, telling her, "Sweet Root is coming. He is very near. Soon he will be with you." On the fourth night, she heard the same voice and saw the same figure. Disturbed, she told her mother about it the next morning. "There must be something in it," she said. "It's so real, and the voice is so much like a man's voice." "No, it's just a dream," said her mother. "It doesn't mean anything." From that time on, the girl felt different. Something was growing within her. And after a few months, her condition became obvious. She was going to have a baby. She told her parents that no man had touched her, and they believed her, but others would not be likely to, and the girl hid her condition. When she felt the birth pangs coming on, she went out on a prairie far from the camp and built herself a brush shelter. Doing everything herself, she gave birth to a baby boy. She dried the boy, wrapped him in soft moss, and left him there in the wickiup. For in her village, a baby without a father would be scorned and treated badly. Praying that somebody would find him, she went sadly home to her parents. At the same time, an old woman was out searching the prairie for wild turnips, which she dug up with an animal's shoulder blade. She heard crying, and following the sound came to the wickiup. She was overjoyed to find a baby, as she had never had one of her own. All around the bush shelter grew the sweet root, which makes a mother's milk flow. So she named the boy Sweet Medicine. She took him home to her shabby teepee, even though she had nothing to offer him but love. In the teepee next to the old woman's lived a younger mother who was nursing a small child, and she agreed to nurse Sweet Medicine also. He grew faster and learned faster than ordinary children and was weaned in no time. When he was 10 years old, he already had grown-up wisdom and hunting skill far in advance of his age. But because he had no family and lived at the edge of the camp in a poor teepee, nobody paid attention to Sweet Medicine's exceptional powers. That year, there was a drought, very little game, and much hunger in the village. "Grandmother," Sweet Medicine said to the old woman, "find me an old buffalo hide. Any dried out, chewed up scrap with holes in it will do." The woman searched among the refuse piles and found a wrinkled, brittle piece that the starving dogs had been chewing on. When she brought it to Sweet Medicine, he told her, "Take this to the stream outside the camp, wash it in the flowing water, make it pliable, scrape it clean." After she had done this, Sweet Medicine took a willow wand and bent it into a hoop, which he colored with sacred red earth paint. He cut the buffalo hide into one long strip and wove it back and forth over the hoop, making a kind of a net with an opening in the center. Then he cut 4 wild cherry sticks, sharpened them to a point, and hardened them in the earth fire. The next morning he said, "Grandmother, come with me. We're going to play the hoop and stick game." He took the hoop and the cherry wood sticks and walked into the middle of the camp circle. "Grandmother, roll this hoop for me," he said. She rolled the hoop along the ground, and Sweet Medicine hurled his pointed sticks through the center of it, hitting the right spot every time. Soon a lot of people, men and women, boys and girls, came to watch the strange new game. Then Sweet Medicine cried, "Grandmother, let me hit it once more and make the hoop into a fat buffalo calf." Again he threw his stick like a dart. Again the stick went through the center of the hoop, and as it did so, the hoop turned into a fat yellow buffalo calf. The stick had pierced its heart, and the calf fell down dead. "Now you people will have plenty to eat," said Sweet Medicine. "Come and butcher this calf." The people gathered and roasted chunks of tender calf meat over their fires, and no matter how many pieces of flesh they cut from the calf's body, it was never picked clean. However much they ate, there was always more, so the people had their fill, and that was the end of the famine. It was also the first hoop and stick game played among the Cheyenne. This sacred game has much power attached to it, and it is still being played. A boy's first kill is an important happening in his life, something he will always remember. After killing his first buffalo, a boy will be honored by his father, who may hold a feast for him and give him a man's name. There would be no feast for Sweet Medicine. All the same, he was very happy when he killed a fat yellow buffalo calf on his first hunt. He was skinning and butchering it when he was approached by an elderly man, a chief too old to do much hunting, but still harsh and commanding. "This is just the kind of hide I've been looking for," said the chief. "I will take it." "You can't have a boy's first hide," said Sweet Medicine. "Surely you must know this, but You're welcome to half of the meat because I honor old age. The chief took the meat but grabbed the hide too and began to walk off with it. Sweet Medicine took hold of one end and they started a tug of war. The chief used his riding whip on Sweet Medicine, shouting, "How dare a poor nothing boy defy a chief?" as he whipped Sweet Medicine again and again across the face. The boy's fighting spirit was aroused. He grabbed a big buffalo leg bone and hit the old man over the head. Some say Sweet Medicine killed the chief. Others say the old man just fell down stunned. But in the village, the people were angry that a mere boy had dared to fight the old chief. Some said, "Let's whip him." Others said, "Let's kill him." After he had returned to the old woman's lodge, Sweet Medicine sensed what was going on. He said, "Grandmother, some young men of the warrior societies will come here to kill me for having stood up for myself." He thanked her for her kindness to him and then fled from the village. Later, when the young warriors came, they were so angry to find the boy gone that they pulled the lodge down and set fire to it. The following morning, someone saw Sweet Medicine dressed like a fox warrior standing on a hill overlooking the village. His enemies set out in pursuit, but he was always just out of their reach, and they finally retired exhausted. The next morning, he appeared as an elk warrior, carrying a crooked coup stick wrapped in otter skin. Again, they tried to catch and kill him. Again, he evaded them. They resumed their futile chase on the third morning when he wore the red face paint and feathers of a red shield warrior. And on the fourth, when he dressed like a dog soldier and took a small red rattle tied with buffalo hair at his pursuers. On the fifth day, he appeared in full regalia of a Cheyenne chief. That made the village warriors angrier than ever. But they still couldn't catch him, and after that, they saw him no more. Wandering alone over the prairie, the boy heard a voice calling, leading him to a beautiful dark forested land of many hills. Standing apart from the others was a single mountain shaped like a huge teepee, the sacred mountain called Bear Butte. Sweet Medicine found a secret opening which has since closed, perhaps was visible to him alone. And he entered the mountain. It was hollow inside like a teepee, forming a sacred lodge filled with people who looked like ordinary men and women, but were really powerful spirits. Grandson came in, and we had been expecting you. "Oh, grandson, come in. We have been expecting you," the holy people said, and when Sweet Medicine took his seat, they began teaching him the Cheyenne way to live so that he could return to the people and give them this knowledge. First of all, the spirits gave him the sacred 4 arrows, saying, "This is the great gifts we are handing you. With these wonderful arrows, the tribe will prosper. 2 arrows are for war, 2 are for hunting. But there is much, much more to the 4 arrows. They have great powers. They contain rules by which men ought to live." The spirit people taught Sweet Medicine how to pray to the arrows, how to keep them, how to renew them. They taught him the wise laws of the 44 chiefs. They taught him how to set up rules for the warrior societies. They taught him how women should be honored. They taught him the many useful things by which people could live, survive, and prosper, things people had not yet learned at that time. Finally, they taught him how to make a special teepee in which the sacred arrows were to be kept. Sweet Medicine listened carefully and learned well. Finally, an old spirit man burned incense of sweet grass to purify both Sweet Medicine and the sacred arrow bundle. Then the Cheyenne boy put the holy bundle on his back and began the long journey home to his people. During his absence, there had been a famine in the land. The buffalo had gone into hiding, for they were angry that the people did not know how to live and were behaving badly. When Sweet Medicine arrived at the village, he found a group of tired and listless children, their ribs sticking out, who were playing with little buffalo figures they had made out of mud. Sweet Medicine immediately changed the figures into large chunks of juicy buffalo meat and fat. Now there's enough for you to eat, he told the young ones, with plenty left over for your parents and grandparents. Take the meat, fat, and tongues into the village and tell 2 good young hunters to come out in the morning to meet me. Though the children carried the message, and the 2 young hunters went out and looked everywhere for Sweet Medicine the next day, all they saw was a big eagle circling above. They tried again on the second and third day with no success. But on the fourth morning, they found Sweet Medicine standing on top of a hill overlooking the village. He told the 2, I have come bringing a wonderful gift from the Creator, which the spirits inside the great medicine mountain have sent you. Tell the people to set up a big lodge in the center of the camp. Circle, cover its floor with sage and purify it with burning sweetgrass. Tell everyone to go inside the teepee and stay there. No one must see me approaching. When at last all was ready, Sweet Medicine walked slowly towards the village and 4 times called out, People of the Cheyenne, with a great power I am approaching you. Be joyful, the sacred arrows that I am bringing. He entered the teepee with the sacred arrow bundle and said, You have not yet learned how to live the right way. That is why the ones above were angry and the buffalo went into hiding. The 2 young hunters lit the fire, and Sweet Medicine filled a deer bone pipe with sacred tobacco. All night through, he taught the people what the spirits inside the holy mountain had taught him. These teachings established the way of the Cheyenne, the true Cheyenne nation. Towards morning, Sweet Medicine sang 4 sacred songs. After each song, he smoked the pipe. Its holy breath ascended through the smoke hole up into the sky, up to the great mystery. At daybreak, as the sun rose and the people emerged from the sacred arrow lodge, they found the prairie around them covered with buffalo. The spirits were no longer angry. The famine was over. For many nights to come, Sweet Medicine instructed the people in the sacred laws. He lived among the Cheyenne for a long time and made them into a proud tribe respected through the plains. 4 lives the Creator had given him, but even Sweet Medicine was not immortal. Only the rocks and mountains are forever. When he grew old and feeble and felt that the end of his appointed time was near, he directed people to carry him to a place near the sacred Bear Butte. They made a small hut for him out of cottonwood branches and cedar poles covered with barks and leaves. They spread its floor with sage, flat cedar leaves, and fragrant grass. It was a good lodge to die in. And so that is when they placed him in the lodge before he addressed the people for one last time. And this was his message. It's pretty interesting. I have seen in my mind that some people, or sometime after I'm dead, maybe the time will be long, light-skinned, bearded men will arrive with sticks spitting fire. They will conquer the land and drive you before them. They will kill the animals who gave their flesh that you may live. They will bring strange animals for you to ride and eat. They will introduce war and evil, strange sicknesses and death. They will try to make you forget Maheo, the Creator, and the things I taught you, and will impose their own alien evil ways. They will take your land little by little until there is nothing left for you. I do not like to tell you this, but you must know. You must be strong when that bad time comes, you men and particularly you women, because much depends on you, because you are the perpetrators of life. And if you weaken, the Cheyenne will cease to be. Now I have said all there is to say. And then Sweet Medicine went into his hut to die. So this is a story of Sweet Medicine, and it was told by a member of the Strange Owl family on the Lame Deer Indian Reservation in Montana in 1967. So again, this is Sweet Medicine. That was quite the reading, and but I really enjoy stories like this because it makes you think about, what's going on, what happened. And one of the things that talk about the four sacred arrows. I think I met a person that was a keeper of the four sacred arrows in one of my travels at a meeting. So he was connected to that bundle. And like here on Cheyenne River or in Lakota country, we have the gift of the sacred calf pipe, which is kept at a place close to where we are here in Eagle Butte. And so one of the things that, as I was thinking about this, the gifts that were given to us. It reflects back to the early 70s, 1970s, when they had the International Sundance. And Chief Frank Foolscrow, I believe, Noble Redman, and John Around Him, and the Lone Hill brothers, and Sidney Keith, and Oliver Brown Wolf, and Sam Eaglestaff. And there was a lot of folks that brought that. Silas Hayok, and different ones from here locally. I think Noah Longcrane, but they brought the they brought the Sundance back to our country, and back then it was an international setting. So remember 1978. Some dances started prior to that. 1978, when the American Indian Freedom Religion law was passed, so we can pray in our own cultural ways. So I was able to participate, not as a participant, but a helper. And I was able to assist my uncles, and became involved and learned a lot of stuff. And through that, met a lot of tribal members from different tribes, and they came. And the story started to come together. And they have what you call is a sacred tree that stands in the middle of a Sundance arbor. And it is called the Tree of Life. And if you don't believe in a tree of life, or it could be just a tree standing there, but if you connect to it in some way, you could feel the pulse. It's a living tree. And so, again, it depends on what your background is, what your belief is. One of the things that when thinking about the bundle keepers, they say that when you put that tree up, stand that tree up, and people bring gifts to that tree, depending on which culture you come from, which tribe. But the objective is that through time, when all the nations come together, they will dress that man. That tree becomes a man. And so there's people that are keepers of different garments, different parts of what a man carries or wears. So like we have the Chanupa, the sacred pipe, and then the Cheyennes have the sacred arrows. And then there's a tribe that came, and they were the keepers of the sacred hat. There's some that were keepers of the leggings and the shirt, and on and on. So throughout the 70s and into the 80s. It got really strong, powerful movement. And you can imagine, visualize, that man that they dressed. And the more garments, the more he was dressed, the stronger that prayer became. So that is kind of why I chose this story, not just for entertainment purposes, but for teaching, because we all want to learn about what happened during the history of our nation. I'm reading a book, To Have This Land, The Nature of Indian-White Relations in South Dakota, 1888 to 1891. It's a book written by Philip S. Hall, and it was published in 1991. And if you ever get a chance to read this book, take that time and read it, because it talks about how politics influenced our future and our present, and talks about when just after the state of South Dakota became a state, then there was a person that became the first senator for the state of South Dakota, and how through his actions, his influence and actions, laid down the foundation for how the tribes, the reservations in South Dakota were going to be operated. So you talk about Republican, Democrats, what's happening today in society, it happened back there in the 1800s, So it's not a new process that we experienced. We lived through that. And so I think 1889, this gentleman was elected as a first senator. And then from him, there grew a movement, and everything that was in place before was removed, and this individual appointed his own people in key positions. And so you think about the 9 reservations that we had at that time and still have, and there was a lot of impact on the reservations. And so they call them Indian agents, like that, pretty much said what's going to happen on the reservation. And so that's where we are still under the control of that, I guess, that situation. And so we're still on the reservations. And I don't know if it's gotten better or worse, but this book really details, what happened. And then another chapter that was pretty interesting was the day Sitting Bull got killed. December 15th. Sitting Bull got killed. And so history, like our history says, we're only the Minikoju or only Sitting Bull's people are affected. That's not true. There was other Lakota tribes that on that day had to fight for their lives, for survival, because there was people that were trying to kill us off, kill our people off. And so this one chapter talks about the day, what happened on the day of when Sitting Bull was murdered by the Indian policemen under Mr. McLaughlin, his direction. So, but you have to try not to get angry, because we can't really change what happened back then, but we can at least be aware that we're all involved in this survival. This process of surviving through all these things that were put upon our people, and we're still going to survive. And so I mentioned in the beginning of the program that they're going to have a 150th anniversary, or at the battle at the Little Bighorn. And so that was a victory that was claimed by the Lakota and their allies, the Cheyenne and Arapaho nations. And so that was the time when we defeated the United States government in a battle and took their flag. And so we earned that right to celebrate on that day. But it's a good thought to know that, that we have that in our history. They can't erase it. They can push it behind, try to hide it, but it happened and we won, and we're still the victors. But I just want to end with that. I know that it's a beautiful day out there. I'm going to go out there and try to find something productive to do. I know I fixed my weed eater and my lawnmower. I bought that when I got my Salazar, or salad bar, they call it. I paid brand new. I bought it brand new, and it's still running. The wheels are wobbling, and probably got the same blade on there, all bent up. I hit a few rocks and bent that blade up, but it still cuts and makes kind of a little rattling noise. But fortunately for us, the grass ain't growing that far. That's that tall. So anyway, with that, I just want to thank you all for tuning in, and I know you're going to have a good day, because some of you I meet along the way and visit, and you got good hearts, good hearts, good minds, and you do good jobs, for the people. And we really appreciate having you out there working for the tribe and making things better, taking care of things. And that's what really counts, is that, having a friend, making friends, checking up on friends, taking care of each other, and enjoying life as much as you can. So heogana le mitake pi le wana miglustan so. It's tiata wagadina takto khamak te lo na ke toha trokata ke le chiwauna le wagla kingtacha. Ne petu wastei hapo o ha mitaku ye oyasi.